This teen was playing Grand Theft Auto in real life by dodging cops, robbing houses to stealing planes. He was the most wanted in 3 countries, committed 67 crimes and flew planes to different countries at just 16 years of age. This kid's name is Colton Harris Moore. For years, the FBI has tracked his every move, chasing him from city to city and across islands, but to no avail. Today, we dive into the unbelievable life of Colton Harris Moore, whose teenage years read like a modern-day fairy tale. Colton faced severe hardships from an early age. His mother was a heavy alcoholic, and his father was caught up in drugs. After a while, they divorced and his father vanished from their lives, leaving Colton and his mother to survive without emotional or financial support. Their situation was dire. They lived on a small island called Camano, off the coast of Washington, in the western United States. Colton's family resided in a rundown old trailer, and his life was marked by poverty and neglect. His mother was uninterested in him, preoccupied solely with getting drunk and consuming drugs. Colton, barely finding enough to eat, turned to theft as his only means of survival. He began shoplifting, sneaking into local stores and supermarkets to steal food and drinks. Due to his lack of experience, he was often caught, which led to repeated stints in juvenile detention centers, places that were more like supervised schools than actual prisons. Yet, his mother showed no concern for him. Indifferent to the attempts made by law enforcement or detention center staff to reach out. Despite these setbacks, Colton, at 14, sharpened his skills and grew more daring, breaking into unoccupied homes. He would pick locks or force entry into houses. Once inside, the first thing Colton would do was head to the fridge for food and drinks. Then he'd relax on the couch, watching TV or playing video games. He was careful to target homes whose occupants were away, usually on a vacation. Some of these homes became his temporary shelters, where he would even spend consecutive nights, transforming them into makeshift homes where he could briefly escape his harsh reality. On occasion, he'd find cars parked outside these homes. He'd take the car for a drive, clean it thoroughly, and return it to the house in pristine condition. Before leaving, though, he'd steal whatever valuable items he could find. Colton would search cabinets for cash, gold, electronics, and food, even frozen goods. He justified his actions by believing that the homeowners would be compensated by insurance, thus thinking of himself as a victimless thief. During this period, Colton distanced himself from his mother and began forging his own identity. He either slept in the homes he burgled or in a tent he set up deep in the forest. At the end of each day, he returned to his tent, loaded with stolen goods, cash, credit cards, food, and whatever else he needed. His targets were diverse. At one point, he even robbed a fire station, taking a thermal imaging camera used to detect people behind walls. This device became a crucial tool in his burglaries, helping him plan safer break-ins. Additionally, he spent $6,000 using a stolen credit card on military-style night vision goggles. For months, Colton lived in his tent, moving around the island and continuing his string of robberies. As expected, local police were overwhelmed by reports of burglaries. They had been tracking the case for some time, tirelessly searching for Colton until they finally identified him. They pieced together the clues, connecting fingerprints and mugshots from his previous arrests. His absence from school and his mother's house made it easy to link him to the thefts, but capturing him was another matter. They distributed his photograph, issuing a wanted notice. In no time, his face became widely recognized across the island, spreading quickly among the residents. Yet, the island was vast, with many towns and remote areas. By 2007, Colton was 15 years old, and his daring spree of burglaries continued. He began stealing packages from people's doorsteps. But his luck ran out when he broke into a house and found himself surrounded by police officers. Alert neighbors had reported his suspicious behavior, leading to his arrest. Colton was taken to a juvenile detention center, where he spent his time improving himself. In detention, Colton avoided trouble and focused on reading books, drawing, and developing a passion for aviation. He even sketched designs of airplanes and became involved in classroom discussions, giving the impression that he was serious about turning his life around. He told the staff that when he got out, he planned to continue his education and pursue a better future. His good behavior paid off, and after 10 months, he was transferred to a lower security detention facility. However, Colton wasn't about to give up his criminal lifestyle. He observed the guards' routines closely, analyzing the facility's security systems. One night, he gathered his belongings, slipped out of a window, and escaped the detention center, which had no fences or outside barriers to stop him. Once again, Colton was free. Fast forward to 2008. Now 17, Colton had no choice but to return to his old habits. He set up his tent in the forest and resumed stealing from homes and stores. His agility and strength enabled him to pull off more daring break-ins. In one bold move, he broke into a second-floor window of a tool store and managed to crack open a safe. Despite the police's relentless efforts to catch him, Colton always stayed one step ahead. In one chase, he stole a high-end Mercedes and outmaneuvered the police, using his knowledge of the area to his advantage. He raced through the roads and disappeared into the woods, leaving behind a crashed car. While the police surrounded the area, searching for him with helicopters and dogs, Colton vanished into the forest once more. The thefts continued, and Colton escalated his crimes, even stealing an assault rifle from a police car. Although his crimes were usually non-violent, stealing a weapon raised the stakes significantly. The island's police force launched a massive operation, with armed officers combing the area and helicopters hovering overhead. Even the FBI got involved, offering a $10,000 reward for his capture. But Colton was in a world of his own, planning something unimaginable. During his time in prison, Colton had developed a love for flying. After his escape, he began purchasing aviation manuals and played flight simulator games on a stolen laptop. His ultimate goal was to steal a plane and fly it solo. He started scoping out a small local airport on the island, watching the private planes and stealing manuals from them whenever he could. After studying the material and practicing on the flight simulator, Colton felt confident. One night, he broke into the airport, chose a plane, and, using the knowledge he had gained, successfully flew it into the sky. He kept a low altitude, around 18,000 feet, and avoided radar detection by blending into the airspace reserved for helicopters and small planes. But amidst the thrill of flying, Colton forgot to monitor the fuel levels. Realizing he was running out of fuel, he crash-landed the plane in an open area. Remarkably, he survived with only minor injuries and disappeared into the nearby forest. Authorities, notified of the stolen plane, didn't suspect Colton at first. They believed drug traffickers were responsible. But Colton kept evading capture, hiding in the woods. The police eventually found his tent and confiscated his belongings, which included aviation manuals linking him to the stolen plane. Colton moved to another nearby island in Washington state, where he stole yet another plane, landing it without incident. He then broke into a supermarket using a forklift to rob an ATM. Surveillance cameras and fingerprints revealed his presence on the island, confirming his involvement in the plane thefts. His fame grew, and fans nicknamed him the Barefoot Bandit, a moniker he embraced by leaving footprints at the scene of his crimes. With the police closing in, Colton stole a boat and sailed across the border to Canada, where he remained hidden for a few weeks. However, after meeting two unsuspecting friends, he crossed back into the US, continuing his crime spree by stealing cars and switching vehicles frequently to avoid detection. He eventually stole another plane in Idaho and flew it to Washington state, but crash-landed in a logging area. Will the FBI catch him successfully, or does he die because of the plane crash? Stay tuned to find out in the second part of this video. If you like the story, please like the video so that it helps the algorithm and suggests more people to watch it. Please do subscribe to the channel, as I will be making more such interesting real-life stories on this channel. Thank you.